So you just started Metaphor Refantazio, or perhaps you're a few hours in, and you want to know what's the best archetype you could use for the area you're at. Well, you come to the right place because after 200 hours of playing and testing out a bunch of builds, I feel qualified to make this tier list. I'll be recommending the best archetypes you could use for the early, mid, and late game. So consider using the timestamps to avoid spoilers. And with that out the way, let's get into this, yeah? The first area of the game is the Royal Capital Grand Trad. A majority of the area is the tutorial, but once you finish the prologue, you're free to use whatever you want. We'll go over each archetype you could acquire, starting with the Seeker. This is the jack of all trades as it comes in with a magical and physical attack. It could heal and buff an ally. It doesn't really do any of these roles well, but there are enemies in the main story dungeon weak to win, so this brings up its value. And once you get Tarukaja, it really shines. This will allow you to do 20% more damage, and it stacks 3 times to 60%. If you grind a little, you can inherit 2 skills thanks to more, making it a fantastic archetype to have in the party. Its synthesis skills is what really brings up its rank in this area, as Rider of the Blade and Horse Drawn Carriage are super effective against the main story boss, giving it the S rank with everything else already covered. Strahl soon awakens afterward, giving us the Warrior. It's all about slash damage. Once you get heat up, it'll be a real powerhouse, especially if you beat the dragon in the mines. If you're new to the game and watching this, then consider checking out my guide in the description to get a really powerful exclusive warrior weapon. Its synthesis skill, Round Slash, is great for trash mobs. If you happen to run a mono warrior team, then Peerless Stone Cleaver will hit 4 digits real early. Unfortunately, none of the bosses are weak to slashing in this area, giving it the B rank, otherwise it's a solid archetype. If you got the weapon, however, it is A rank. Mage is given for free thanks to Gallica. Magic allows you to steamroll the first area with every boss being weak to an element, and for the ones weak to light, you can inherit Hama in a bit, making it the ideal party member. It's also great on the main character since you'll be low on MP items, and you could easily refill by killing mobs in the overworld. Its synthesis skills are better versions of its regular skills, so use this when you know the enemy's weakness and watch them die. But it can get the S rank since it makes the optional dungeon very hard due to how the enemies work. It's possible to use Mage and still win, but I wouldn't recommend this to the average gamer. After a bedtime story, we could use Healer. Having Hama allows you to make the story dungeon really easy. An AoE heal is better than Sika's Die. Patra is great to cleanse any annoying status ailment. Dakunda is amazing, and once you unlock this, it'll be vital in the future, so make sure your support always has this. The synthesis skills are an upgrade like Mage, so use them when you know you get the full value. Just like Mage, it can get the S rank because of what was mentioned, giving it the A rank. Hulkenberg finds hope unlocking the Knight. This is your typical tank and spank JRPG job. It could draw most of the enemy's aggro, taking damage away from the party. Just remember to go to the back row so you take 25% less damage. This pairs perfectly with Seeker's single target heal. Outside of drawing aggro, it gets a bunch of passives which really don't do too much, so let's look at the synthesis skills. Jump Thrust makes the optional dungeon a cakewalk, and if you got the Brawler, then Hammer of Justice is even better. Knight is a great tank, but that's all it really does, giving it the B rank. When used in the optional dungeon, it does go up to the A rank. The final archetype the main story gives us is Brawler. It deals very high damage, but in return, we have to give up some of our HP. This makes it pretty much mandatory to have a form of healing in the party to fuel its power. Both synthesis skills are amazing for the bosses like Seeker. It also enables the strongest pierce attack with Knight, giving it the S rank. The first optional archetype you come across is Merchant. For those who worry about using your money as a damage source, don't be. I finished the game with over 4 million left over. Every kill in the overworld gives you almost 500 money. It also increases your chance of getting items, making it every JRPG gamer's dream come true. And yes, it does stack if you're wondering. On top of all that, Gold Attack hits anything for neutral damage, and it has a very high chance to critically hit. This is one of the early jobs you can actually run 4 of, from the start to the very end of the game, and beat every single content. I'm not even joking, it's that strong. Merchant easily gets the S rank for the perk it brings and ease of use. If you're only running one, however, then it brings it down to an A rank. The second area of the game is Martira, Old Castle Town. On our way to Martira, you could level up Strawl's follower rank to unlock Swordmaster. It excels on AoE damage, which is great for trash mobs you'll be facing. Make sure you inherit slash boost from Warrior so it could deal the most damage possible. It keeps the strong synthesis skills while adding even stronger ones. Swordmaster makes this area a lot more manageable and brings it up to the A rank. You can unlock Magic Knight while in Martira if you spend some time with Hulkenberg. Magic Knight is better in all aspects compared to Knight. It can now heal the party with Metaline. Even with the role requirement, it's very easy to achieve and heals more than the healer's Medi. Heavy Thrust now allows it to deal some good damage. Its synthesis skills got even better with Magic Knight's Hammer, allowing you to now implant an electric weakness to an enemy who normally wasn't weak to this. It is great for enemies that have no weakness, or when you don't want to change up your party composition, but still benefit from the damage bonus. With these new additions, Magic Knight does exactly what Knight was doing, but better, making it ascend to the S rank. Once you can travel, you could acquire Cleric. It isn't a straight upgrade like Magic Knight was to Knight. The Cleric has better damaging skills with Haman, and a better heal with Medica, but the rest of its kit is different. You can now revive a dead teammate with Rakarn. It loses the important Dekunda, so make sure you inherit this as you will need it for this area and the ones to come. Overall, Cleric gets a B rank because Magic Knight covers the heal while providing more for the team. But when you are doing the optional dungeon for Faker, it goes back up to an A rank. Your second optional archetype is Gunner. Its overworld attack is a range shot that heals you, so no more needing to go to melee range and dodging AoEs. Just snipe them from afar. It allows you to inflict status ailments on your enemy, if you enjoy that playstyle. Sleep allows your next physical attack to always critically hit. Poison is a percentage of HP loss each turn for those who like to slowly watch your enemy die a miserable death. It's rare to find a boss that'll stick on, however. For synthesis skills, Mania Bullet is like the Magic Knight's implant skill, allowing your physical damage dealer to always deal good damage. Gunner gets an A rank for its utility and usefulness in this area. After acquiring Gunner, you can unlock Magic Seeker from more. It pretty much does what Seeker did, but better compared to damage and healing. It gets one of the best buffs for this point in the game, with Vitalgia, which increases one party member's attack and defense by 2 stages. This is a great skill to inherit if you're running a hyper team setup with 1 damage dealer. Magic Seeker does go down a rank as it isn't dominant on all the bosses like the last area. Your third optional archetype is Faker. You can unlock this before the main story boss, but I wouldn't recommend it as the enemies are way higher leveled. Faker, however, is very strong. I had this on my first playthrough before the story boss, and it made it very easy. Tarunda lowering the enemy's attack meant I didn't have to heal as much. Secunda allowed me to land my attacks without missing and dodge the enemy's attack easier. Racunda lets me do more damage, so the fight was over quicker. Faker's roguery is the only source for more turns at this point in the game, and if you went luck main character, then this job was made for you. Faker easily gets the S rank, and if you haven't unlocked Faker yet, consider checking out my guide in the description. After coming out of the shadows, Heisme unlocks Thief. His overworld attack lets you steal rare items without getting into the fight. For all my old school JRPG fans, you want Steal with you at all times, as the enemies have some very good rare items. It comes with the dark magic, so you could finally cover all elemental weaknesses. Its synthesis skill, Phantom Tracer, does very good damage and removes any buff the enemy may apply to them, which is very efficient. It's a great archetype, especially when you're walking away with double the loot, giving it the A rank. After completing the main story dungeon, you'll get Wizard. It's a straight upgrade from Mage, so this is very nice. It doesn't go up or down a rank since it's still your only main magic damage dealer when you need one. Commander is our newest archetype. It can boost all allies' defense, making it very strong. Rebellion is our first critical hit rate buff, so physical attackers can excel. Fiery Strike makes a great skill for any physical attacker to inherit to exploit a weakness while keeping up the tempo. Formation of Vigor is broken. It gives all allies 40% damage increase, which is bonkers, and you should aim for this ASAP. We haven't even looked at its synthesis skills. Not only does it do great damage, but the support is unmatched. Commander easily gets the S rank as they'll make the game moving forward much easier. Brawler drops down a rank since it's not as dominant on both bosses, but it's still great for the optional one. Merchant stays at the top since it only got better with the buffs from Commander and debuffs from Faker. Any archetype that is in the replace section should be leveled up ASAP so you can use its better equivalent. We'll keep this going forward in other areas to keep the tier list as clear as possible so you could use it without any confusion. The third area of the game is Port Brilhaven. On your way to the port, you'll acquire Pugilist. It's a 1-to-1 upgrade from Brawler with more damage and a higher chance to critically hit. It has one of the main staple passives I used on all my physical builds, with Spirit of Adversity. It does drop down a rank however due to it not being as strong for the bosses in this area. If you hang out with Heisme a bit, you'll unlock Assassin. It's another archetype that's a straight upgrade from its starting class. Lurking Nightblade is a consistent way to deal good damage and lower the enemy's agility, so it's easier to dodge their attacks and land yours. Assassinate's our first hard-hitting heavy single target attack that could sometimes one-shot your enemy. Godkiller is even stronger. Assassin easily gets the S rank for this area because it makes some of the bosses really easy thanks to the dark element. After some bounties, you should unlock Sniper. This is the DPS variant of the archetype where it throws away the status ailments and goes full damage. I recommend you inherit some of those status shots because some of the optional bosses are susceptible to them, which will make your life easier. Its Bullet Barrage is one of the strongest pierce attacks in the game. Sniper gets the S rank for how easy it makes this biome. After helping Barton with his new role, you'll get General. General is a slight variant on Commander, as its shield formation is a defensive option versus formation of Vigor. Depending on your preference, you may want to inherit Vigor, or you may have found a new toy with Shelter. Either way, you get another physical elemental attack you'll want on your strength damage dealer. General goes down to the A rank since it's not as dominant as before. Now that you acquired General and you hung out with Strahl some more, you can become one with the Blade. Samurai is the first tier 3 archetype you can unlock, and it's a powerhouse! Being able to AoE everyone with the electric element, Thunderblade. Or perhaps the 3-stage buff with Concentrate to hit like a truck. Its new synthesis skill, Crimson Moon Sword Art, will decimate anyone in your way. Peerless Stone Cleaver got a massive buff with a 33% cost reduction and party composition requirement. You can now use this boss killer move with ease. Samurai gets the S rank, but it's actually S+ for this point in the game. These are all the new archetypes for this area. Anyone with a light or wind attack will go up in rank due to the side content being weak to them. The fourth area of the game is Etria Virga Islands. Once you can freely roam, you can acquire the Masked Dancer. Remember when I said the merchant can be used from acquisition till you beat the game? Well, the Masked Dancer is the quintessential flexible archetype. This can be anything you want with its unique mechanic. In your accessory slot, you could put on another archetype's mask and gain their skills and passives. You can't gain all of them, of course, but the core ones that make them unique. Art of Dance pairs perfectly with Gunner or Thief status ailments for those who want that playstyle to come to life. Its synthesis skill implants a weakness of your choice, which will make the main story boss a lot easier than what I went through. Masked Dancer never left my team with how flexible she was, securing her place at the very top of S tier. No matter your playstyle, the Dancer can accentuate it. After clarifying a misinterpretation for centuries, we get the Summoner. It is a hybrid of both physical and magical attacks. So for those of you who allocate your points into strength and magic evenly, this archetype was made for you. Most of its attack are on the heavy multiplier, meaning it'll hit really hard. Once you unlock more items, you can have all elements at your disposal. Summoner gets the S rank for how versatile it is in the damage department. Unfortunately, those are the only two archetypes we get in this area. Archetypes that have Pierce, Fire, Electric, and Wind affinities are highly preferred to tackle the optional bosses and main story. The 5th area of the game is Altbury Heights. After a bunch of lore, you unlock the Berserker on the Gauntlet Runner. Charge is one of the best buffs in the game as it increases your next physical attack by 250%, making it an amazing skill to inherit. Sense of Kinship is a great mono archetype passive that increases your damage by 10 to 50%. Warcry is an AoE attack and defense down. This is great for trash fights or bosses that have multiple parts. Berserker does great strike damage and has good utility for other archetypes, making it worth mastering. One of the optional fights is weak to strike, giving Berserker an A rank for the zone. The other archetypes you'll acquire are all dependent on what you spend your free time on. Since they all require different royal virtue levels, let's go over what the bosses are weak to. Pierce, Strike, Fire, and heavily weak to Wind. For that reason, you'll definitely want one new archetype, with Hulkenberg being a likely option, since she's been with us since the start. She gives us 2 archetypes, so let's start off with Paladin. If you've been using Knight's Proclamation up to this point, then Holy Knight's Proclamation is godsend. This does exactly what it did, but puts you into guard stance, which reduces the damage you take by 50%. If you were using this on a dodge tank, however, do not inherit this, as you cannot dodge if you're guarding. Counter is an RNG passive that lets you repel any physical affinity attack. It's not reliable, but when it happens, it ends the enemy's turn and damages them. Revitalize 3 is 6 MP back per turn. It doesn't stack with the full moon metal accessory for those of you trying to regenerate a bunch of MP per turn. This is still a great passive and I use this on all my supports. Paladin gets some insane synthesis skills with Crusader's Hammer, being able to implant with the Severe Multiplier. This is the highest tag a skill can have. Peerless Sanctity is severe AoE damage and it lowers all the enemy's stats. Paladin is a massive upgrade from Magic Knight, and it helps against some optional bosses in the area, giving it the A rank. Dark Knight is also given to us. It has the same RNG counter, but for magic. Flawless gives us all stage 1 buffs, which can be very helpful when clearing out dungeon trash. We finally get a pierce damage passive. If you don't want to run Petra from your healer, then instant recovery is your answer. Thunder Strike Thrust not only does damage, but lowers the enemy's defense if it connects. Blackguard's Hammer is the dark version of Crusader's Hammer. Pierceless Shadow is the same dark equivalent of Peerless Sanctity. Both are fantastic additions to your arsenal, giving Dark Knight an A rank. Now that you have 25 unique archetypes, you can go back to more to get Soul Hacker. This archetype was literally made for this biome. It has an attack to exploit every boss's weakness. Void Wave is heavy AoE wind damage while lowering the enemy's attack. Seeker Gale recovers 4 MP per enemy hit when you just want the kill, and the attack down isn't necessary. Daya Mahan is a fantastic single target heal. You now get an AoE critical hit rate increase for the whole party with Adventurer's Curiosity. I inherit this on my supports when I want my physical damage dealer to bring the deeps. Seeker's Flame is Seeker Gale but fire. Heat Riser is a single target buff for all stages. Great to set up on your DPS or tank. Emerald Vortex is just on crack. This hits really hard because of the extreme modifier and ignores resistance, meaning no one is safe from this storm. We're not done there. It gets Soul Rider to hit anyone with a severe almighty physical hit. Winning Horse exploits one boss's weakness to strike in this area very hard. Like I said, Soul Hacker was made for this part of the game, giving it the easiest S rank I've ever given. Courage is the easiest royal virtue to max out, so perhaps you unlock the Trickster. Vidyarta is incredibly good as it lowers the enemy's attack and defense by 2 stages. This makes their attack hit like wet noodles while you now can hit like a truck. Debilitate is every debuff from Faker, saving you 2 turns supply all in 1. If you like to gamble, Lucky Strike can do some ridiculous damage. Trickster is a great class to inherit debuffs for your other supports. Trickster gets the S rank for the quality of life over Faker. Perhaps you went back and beat up that Sandworm and got the Warlord. It has Shelter and Vigor like its prior form, but now back boost. This gives your caster a free 10% damage increase. Or front boost for your physical damage dealers. Unfortunately, these do not stack the more party members that have them on. Its synthesis skills is what carries it in this area, with its extreme fire attack. And Dynas Formation being the best buff in the game. Warlord gets an A rank since it's only effective against one boss, but it's still an amazing teammate to have. Just like Faker, Tycoon is almost free to unlock with Courage. Gold Rush is a 2-tier upgrade from Gold Attack. Item Connoisseur is sleeper good as it makes all your healing and damage items double in efficiency. Lucky or Fine allows you to now get rare items easier, and yes, it stacks. Critical Trade doubles your critical hit rate, so Gold Rush gets those free press turns. Almighty Boost increases Gold Rush damage and makes a great skill to inherit for other Almighty damage users. Merchant was already good and running 4 of them was broken. Tycoon retains its dominant spot of S tier if you're running 4, or the A rank if you're solo. The remaining archetypes will be covered in the final area, since this is where you would most likely unlock them. The final fight is almost here and you're preparing to claim that throne. Since the final section of the game starts us off with the exclusive Prince Archetype, we'll go over that since I'm pretty sure you're curious on where it ranks. Hero's Cry is a guaranteed 4-turn, where Faker's Roguery rolls that 20% of the time. Heroic Slash is a very good slash affinity attack with Human Slayer attached to it. Royal Slash is an extreme almighty physical skill you could spam with Human Slayer? Like, what were the devs thinking? Radiance is our first magical attack that's AoE. Heroes Proving is all buffs to stage 3 for ourselves. Resist All makes us a walking tank taking 50% less damage from all affinities, except for Almighty. Our synthesis skill Royal Sword is the strongest Almighty skill in the game. Armageddon's Final Sire seems nice, but it's better to just use AoE as a group and kill the mobs for less MP. Overall, Prince is an amazing physical damage dealer, support, and tank. It unfortunately makes a poor magic dealer, but it still gets the S rank because I hit the damage cap with my Magic MC, and you can too by checking out my guide in the description. While unlocking Prince, Gallica also gave us Warlock and Elemental Master. Warlock excels on dark magic, sorta. Hyper is the magical version of Charge, allowing our next magical attack to deal 250% more damage. You always want to inherit this unless you cook the food. It has good synthesis dark magic, but this is actually mediocre compared to Dark Knight. I'm not sure what Atlas was thinking, but to have this job locked behind a story and to only be mediocre is baffling. Warlock gets the B rank because it holds Hyper, otherwise this archetype is disappointing. Just like its counterpart, Elemental Master is a 1-to-1 upgrade. Magic Boost is desperately needed to keep up with the damage of the other archetypes. Magic Link allows us to use our powerful synthesis skills for half price. This actually pairs well with Skyfall Bolt and Metaphor to stay on par with the physical powerhouses. Elemental Master is great when you can exploit a weakness, giving it the S rank. I have a guide in my description where you could one-shot any boss using it. In order to do that, we will need some help from Persona Master. Its gimmick are the implants, but now we have them as our regular skills, so we don't have to use our synthesis for them. The implants not found here are through the synthesis, even though this may not seem like much of an upgrade. It does have Masquerade Charge, however. This gives the entire team charge, which if you forgot, increases the next physical attack by 250%. This is absolutely broken, and I abused it. You can check out my one-shot build where I killed every boss with this. This alone gives the Persona Master the S rank. While we're on the Persona Master, we may as well go over the Royal Masked Dancer and get that out the way. This version of the archetype tries to be a damage dealer, with Magic Surge increasing all magic damage by 25%. Noble Dancer's Soul is every Magic MC's dream, as we now do not consume a turn icon when we kill an enemy using any magic. She still keeps Masquerade Charge as a synthesis skill, so whether you use her as a support or damage dealer, you'll have a great time, giving her an S rank. Making a pinky promise with Maria grants us the Saviour. Just like Cleric, it's a 1-to-1 upgrade with more damage and healing. Pen Patra is really good, especially in this area where status ailments are constantly thrown at you. Exorcist Light punishes all those who have sinned. Patrikarm is actually sleeper good. This allows you to live with 1 HP, which synergizes with another passive I'll go over later. Its synthesis skills get even better with more damage, and an AoE full revive for when the fight gets scary. Saviour is the ultimate healer as long as you inherit Dekunda, giving her the A rank. My favorite Parapist gives us Martial Artist. This thing packs a punch with Spiral Fist, doing massive damage even with the heavy tag. Meditation and Undisturbed Serenity aims to heal and cleanse debuffs, but we have Saviour for that. I'm not sure I see the vision with this one, as I'd rather do damage on my turn and let my support heal me. Anyway, the synthesis skills are amazing with Ultimate Energy Ray and Bodhisattva Palm, dealing severe damage with that HP multiplier. Martial Artist is great for a non-royal damage dealer, giving it an A rank. By now you should have hung out with Basilio, and you might be upset. Don't worry, I was too. We'll channel our inner rage with Destroyer. Stormbreaker is damage with Dekaja from Faker. This is fantastic as bosses at this point in the game will constantly be buffing themselves. Windbreaker is nice damage with defense down. Revenge Seeker is a 1-to-1 HP to damage conversion. So if you're at 1 HP, you'll deal 100% more damage. This is the strongest passive in the game. Remember when I said Patrakarm has good synergy? It was for this passive. Its new synthesis skill, Deadly Erasure, allows you to deal incredible damage, and if they live for some reason, you strip them of all beneficial effects. For these reasons, Destroyer gets an A rank because there is a better version of it. Speaking of that better version, let's go over Royal Berserker. It now gets its synthesis skill Wanton Destruction as a regular move, which is kinda nuts. Its Warcry got buffed to now reduce 2 stages. Its Strike Surge is a flat 30% damage increase. Noble Berserker's Soul can attack for free as long as you critically hit. Royal Berserker is everything Destroyer was, but better. Another Royal that gets the S rank. You finally put the Sun to rest, and you got the Ninja. It's a 1-to-1 upgrade from its prior form, as Adamant Nightblade is a lurking Nightblade, but stronger. Agility lore lets us start off with a free stage 1 buff of agility, so we can set up for our team better. Third Eye brings out the full potential as a dodge tank. Ninja may not do the most damage, but it'll help make any boss fight into a joke. Consider checking out my guide in the description. Ninja gets the S rank as the main character can use this archetype if they went agility build to dodge tank for the team. Otherwise, Heizme will hold it down for you. Heizme can dodge tank much easier due to its exclusive Royal Thief. Plunder is a better steal. It keeps Adamant Nightblade, which is very helpful. Haste lore is agility lore on crack. This is a stage 3 buff for free right off the rip. Noble Thief Soul is Dodger Ring accessory made into a passive. Almost every single boss in this section will use Soul Scream. 1 dodge and all those extra turns they got doesn't seem that scary anymore. Royal Thief is the best tank in the game, giving it the S rank. Hulkenberg might take some offense to that, since she is the Royal Knight after all. It's a combination of both Paladin and Dark Knight, the Holy Knight's Proclamation, Instant Recovery, and Thunderstrike Thrust. Its unique Pierce Surge means she could deal some spicy damage. Omni Counter is both Paladin and Dark Knights combined. This means if you inherit theirs, then it'll stack. Noble Knight's Soul lets you get a free turn the next time your team turn comes around if you used a Proclamation. The game basically is telling you to tank with this one. This actually makes Hulkenberg the quintessential tank and spank you may be familiar with in other JRPG games. Her Peerless Sanctity and Shadow from her former classes allow her to support the team with damage and debuffs. Royal Knight is great for the traditional tank and spank enjoyer, giving her the S rank. Devil Summoner is an upgrade to Summoner. You're now able to summon classic faces you may know from Shin Megami Tensei or the Persona games. Having the flexibility to exploit any weakness at your command is very nice. but the power level at the late game requires a little more oomph, which she lacks because of her multipliers, giving her the B rank. Royal Summoner, on the other hand, fixes that problem with the extreme and severe attacks. Dragon God effects alone is a very handy when all the bosses have buffs. The modified version helps you set up your teammates to clean up if she doesn't get the kill. But you really want her to get the kill because Noble Summoner's Soul lets her attack for free if she gets the kill with a summon. If you're ever in a pinch, Harvest God will come to save you like Saviour's skill, but with the damage at your disposal. Royal Summoner is very strong and can be clutch, giving it the S rank. It's been a while since we touched on the warrior lineage. Royal Warrior gets the iconic Hasai Tobi. The weak tag may fool you, but this thing is great for clearing out trash. One kill and it's like no turns were used due to Noble Warrior's Soul. This passive mostly comes online during trash battles because versus a boss, you will one-hit kill them. That's made possible thanks to Slash Surge. This can stack with Slash Boost to hit some insane damage. Royal Warrior's everything Samurai was, but better, giving it the S rank. The very last archetype is Dragoon. It excels in AoE, and changes up once again like Sniper did, to be more magical than physical. It seems like Atlas didn't know what to do with this archetype. First it was status ailments, then physical pierce, and now magical? The multipliers are on medium in the very last zone, making you feel like you're tickling the enemy. Its saving grace is its synthesis skills, but without any exclusive passive to carry, Dragoon just feels awful. We had to wait so long to get this, but the payoff wasn't worth it. If we had gotten this, let's say, last biome, then it wouldn't be as disappointing. Dragoon unfortunately gets the B rank because of this. Hopefully this tier list helped you figure out which archetypes to use, so you could have a better experience. If there's any unanswered questions, then ask down below. And don't forget to check out the guides in the description, or perhaps this video right here. Until the next video, I'll see ya.